Welcome to Robin James Reviews, as I present you with 12 movies to watch on Christmas. The holidays are here, and Christmas is approaching us quickly, so I felt like this would be a perfect time to talk about my top 12 favorite holiday films. I hope this video can get us into the spirit of the season as I provide you with some movies that you and your family and friends can gather around the TV to enjoy. If you don't happen to see your favorite movie on my list, please let me know down in the comments. I promise to give it a try. As always, your support is so appreciated. Being able to make these videos and interact with you this year has been a great gift for me. With that said, I also have a handful of honorable mentions. This was a super tough list to make. There's so many great Christmas movies to choose from. There's many with nostalgia, and there's ones with laughs, some with drama and romance. Films that have powerful lessons and stories of redemption. But without any further delay, let's get started with the movies. My honorable mentions include Elf, starring Will Ferrell. Also, Ernest Saves Christmas, the wacky comedy from Jim Varney. A cult classic horror movie, Black Christmas. Also, The Gremlins, and yes, I think this is a Christmas movie. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, a charming animated tale from Dr. Seuss. A Christmas Story, a holiday classic with Ralphie, who tries to convince everyone that the Red Ryder Range 200 shot BB gun really is the perfect Christmas gift. And lastly, 8-Bit Christmas, a newer film that just missed making my list. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Starting off my top 12 is The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen. He plays Scott Calvin. Scott's son Charlie is staying home with him for Christmas, and he really wants to break the news to his young son that Santa Claus isn't real. But his ex-wife Laura, played by Wendy Crewson, disagrees. She's now married to Neil, played wonderfully by Judge Reinhold. Then after a less than magical Christmas Eve with his dad, Charlie hears something on the roof, and to Scott Calvin's disbelief, he finds the real Santa. The Santa Claus has always been one of my favorites to watch around the holidays. When I first saw it many years ago, Tim Allen was really riding high with his show Home Improvement. It also has a bunch of amazing Christmas-themed episodes. Allen then transitioned to films with this box office hit that spawned a bunch of movies and even a new show called The Santa Clauses. But to me, none of them came close to this original film. It moves at a nice pace, and there's some really funny scenes of Scott Calvin becoming Santa. And also, to me, the reveal of the North Pole and Santa's workshop was always my favorite when I was a kid, and is still my favorite today.
Where are all the grown-ups?
This is so cool.
Stay here. Hey, kid, who's in charge here?
You are. And I'm not a kid. I have pointy shoes that are older than you. I'm an elf.
Next up on my list is Serendipity, starring John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale. We follow Jonathan Traeger as he meets Sarah Thomas by chance on Christmas Eve at Bloomingdale's. When they're trying to buy the same pair of black gloves, they find they have an instant connection, so they head to the cafe named Serendipity. There, Jonathan asks for her name and phone number, but she decides to let fate decide whether they meet again, because at the time they do have significant others, but they can't deny this instant connection. John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale did have wonderful chemistry, and I thought ultimately they carried this movie.
Okay, Where are we going?
You stay here.
Okay.
No, stay here. Stay there. Don't make me come over there. Okay.
Okay.
Right. If we both randomly pick the same floor, we're meant to be together now.
You're insane.
She states that if destiny wants the two to be together, that Jonathan will get the book back or she will receive that bill again. From then on, we watch as Jonathan is always preoccupied with the thought of Sarah. I think this is a real great romantic comedy to watch around Christmas. Kate Beckinsale has such a sweet way, and you really buy into her character. She's very natural in the film. I also always loved John Cusack. He's been one of my favorite actors forever, and I really think he's on the top of his game here in Serendipity as he delivers this fun, interesting performance. I also really love the setting as they show New York, which can be great looking during the holidays. It's really beautifully filmed by director Peter Chelsom. It's a very whimsical movie about fortunate accidents and finding true love. My 10th favorite movie to watch on Christmas is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which also brought us the timeless Christmas song with the same name. We follow Sam the Snowman as he tells us a story about a young red-nosed reindeer who's been ousted from the reindeer games. He then teams up with Hermie, an elf who wants to be a dentist, and Yukon Cornelius, the prospector. They run into the abominable snowman and then find a whole island of misfit toys. Rudolph vows to see if he can get Santa to help the toys and goes back to the North Pole on Christmas Eve only to find that Santa's sleigh has been fogged in. So I watched Rudolph just the other day and I knew I had to include it on this list. The time and care that they took making the settings and each character can really be seen in high definition. I was in awe with the creativity and craftsmanship it took to bring this movie to life. Also, the voice acting is superb in this film. Each character is memorable and unique. It's got some great lessons about treating people fairly and kindly, no matter what they look like or where they come from.
You talk kind of funny.
What's so funny about the way I talk?
Well, don't get angry. I don't mind.
You don't?
Next up is the Christmas comedy Bad Santa, starring Billy Bob Thornton. This might be the only recommendation on this list that isn't quite family friendly, but I'll make sure to keep it clean here. Billy Bob plays Willie T. Stokes, a convicted con man who's led a miserable life. He drinks heavily and constantly embarrasses himself in public. He and his little helper Marcus stage elaborate robberies and take the department stores for everything they have. This movie was a bit of a shocker when it was released in 2003. We just weren't used to seeing Santa portrayed this way on the big screen. Billy Bob was also the perfect casting choice as he really gives his all in this role. You have wonderful characters played by John Ritter and Bernie Mac too. We love and miss them, and it's good to see them having fun playing their roles here. So with that being said, this film is a fun one, and when the kids are sleeping soundly, grab some eggnog and prepare for a raunchy, hilarious time. Number 8 on my list is It's a Wonderful Life, starring Jimmy Stewart. As a young man, George Bailey is overwhelmed by family obligations and a sense of responsibility he has towards his community. He feels tied down to this company he never wanted to work for and a life he never wanted. Jimmy Stewart is magnificent in the role. He delivers a timeless performance. I also love the performance by Robert Anderson as the young George Bailey during the opening scenes. As George ages, he sees his youth, dreams, and opportunities pass him by. Unknown to George, all of his friends and family have been praying for him to get him through these hard times. The story is told through the point of view of a group of angels.
Well, who are you then?
Clarence Oddbody, AS2.
Oddbody. AS2. What's that AS2?
Angel, second class.
It's a Wonderful Life was released in 1946 and has remained a beloved classic since. I know for a lot of you out there, this would be your first choice on Christmas. Number 7 on my list is Home Alone 2, starring Macaulay Culkin. Kevin McAllister is back, but this time he's in New York City with enough cash and credit cards to turn the Big Apple into his own playground.
Cheese pizza.
But he won't be alone for long because here comes the notorious Wet Bandits.
Get over here! I gotta talk to you!
Harry, played by Joe Pesci, and Marv, played by Daniel Stern, are still very upset from their last encounter with Kevin. And they're also in New York as they plot a huge holiday heist at Duncan's Toy Chest. So in all honesty, I almost left this film off my top 12 because as you'll see, there might be another movie from this franchise coming up here. But after much deliberation, I realized I'd really be lying if I said this wasn't one of my favorite Christmas movies. Yes, it has a lot of the same setup and plenty of the same plot holes as the first movie did, but it didn't matter to me. This is very entertaining, it has laugh out loud moments.
That was the sound of a tool chest falling down the stairs.
I also love the performance by Eddie Bracken, who plays Mr. Duncan, the toy shop owner.
You see that tree there? Well, to show our appreciation for your generosity, I'm going to let you select an object from that tree that you can take home with you.
Free?
Well, yeah,
Another standout in this film was Tim Curry, who plays the hotel concierge. He suspects something is off with Kevin as he watches him stay at the hotel, but he ends up having these great scenes that honestly I think had the biggest laughs when I saw it back in the theater.
Get out of here, you nosy little pervert, or I'm gonna slap you silly! Oh, you're cooking!
Next movie I recommend is A Christmas Carol, the 1938 version starring Reginald Owen as Ebenezer Scrooge. The film was based on a Charles Dickens novel. This is one of the first Christmas movies I can remember watching. I saw it in elementary class when I was around 7 years old, and I really felt transported into the world of this film. It's Christmas Eve when an old miser named Ebenezer Scrooge is visited by the spirit of his former partner, Jacob Marley. The deceased partner was also as mean and miserable as Scrooge is now, and he warns Scrooge to change his ways or face the consequences in the afterlife. Scrooge dismisses this apparition, but then is visited by 3 ghosts. There have been many versions of this Dickens tale. Scrooged with Bill Murray became my go-to version for years, but hasn't aged well for me in the last few viewings I've had. And I think the original really holds a close place to my heart and my childhood memories. So it's the one that I mainly watch now. But if I were to suggest another version to watch for you, I'd go with The Muppets Christmas Carol. It's a fun, over-the-top retelling of the Charles Dickens masterpiece. The messages and reflections that take place in A Christmas Carol are very relatable. The Cratchit family was a very likable bunch that we rooted for, and we wanted Tiny Tim to have a splendid Christmas day. Our next movie is A Charlie Brown Christmas, written by Charles S. Schultz, as we follow the Peanut Gang during Christmas time.
Christmas time is here, happiness and cheer, fun for all that children call their favorite time of year.
We start the story with Charlie Brown as he complains about the overwhelming materialism that he sees amongst everyone during the Christmas season. Lucy suggests that he becomes the director of a school Christmas pageant, so Charlie Brown accepts, but it proves to be much more frustrating than he had expected. When an attempt to restore the proper spirit with a little fir Christmas tree fails, he needs Linus to help learn what the real meaning of Christmas is. Charlie Brown Christmas is a perfect holiday movie. It's filled with great music, funny and relatable characters, and Snoopy.
Snoopy, you'll have to be all the animals in our play. Can you be a sheep? How about a cow? How about a penguin?
Snoopy is so iconic and funny to me. He's great every time he's on screen. I love all the animations and the characters that we get to spend time with. If you're looking for a sweet, heartfelt story on Christmas with some great music, A Charlie Brown Christmas can be the right choice for you. My fourth favorite movie to watch on Christmas is Merry Madagascar.
Shot down Santa.
Yes, I know, it's probably not technically a movie, but I've watched it every year since it came out, and I love this
Are
film.
there more of you?
I usually watch it as a double feature with the next choice on my list. So Santa Claus is suffering from a serious case of amnesia thanks to our naughty King Julian, played by Sacha Baron Cohen. He and his reindeers find themselves marooned on Madagascar, and his sleigh is crammed with toys ready to deliver to all the kids around the world, but now it's up to Alex, Marty, Melman, and Gloria, played by Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, David Schwimmer, and Jada Pinkett Smith, who are now the only ones who can attempt to save Christmas. This short film just really gets me into the mood for Christmas. I love the story where King Julian is learning the true meaning of the holiday from Santa. I get such a crack out of that. And I also love following our zoo animals on their adventure with the hilarious penguins as they stand in for the reindeer. There's also this really touching scene as they encounter this one young lady who's waiting for Santa, and she doesn't seem at all worried that a lion, giraffe, zebra, and hippo are there instead. The over-the-top animation and great music are on full display in Merry Madagascar, and if you haven't seen this one yet, I'd give it a try this holiday season.
Fat man, behold the beauty of a traditional Julianuary carol honoring me.
Our next movie is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, starring Chevy Chase as Clark W. Griswold. Clark tries a little too hard to give his family the perfect Christmas break, as the Griswolds are preparing for a family seasonal celebration, but things just never go smoothly for Clark.
It's not big, it's just full.
Dad, that thing wouldn't fit in our yard.
Not going in our yard, Russ. It's going in our living room. Isn't it a beaut, Audrey?
She'll see it later, honey. Her eyes are frozen.
His wife, Ellen, is played by Beverly D'Angelo, and their two kids are Rusty and Audrey, played by Johnny Galecki and Juliette Lewis. Clark's continual bad luck is worsened by his obnoxious family guests, but he really manages to keep going as he hopes he's going to get a Christmas bonus, and he wants to install a pool for their family in Chicago.
To shine by day and all the stars at night. Melankoliki Maka is a wise way to say Merry Christmas to you.
This is another movie that I feel like will probably be number one on a lot of your lists and has been in my top three since I first saw it and been number one many times. I really remember the scene of him flying down the hill on that greased up saucer, and the audience in the Fox Theater was going crazy with laughter. This entire movie has wonderful Christmas visuals, holiday music, and Christmas themes. And of course, when his brother in law Eddie shows up, just all hell breaks loose. I also remember to check my turkey. I never want to overcook it thanks to this scene in this movie. This Christmas Eve, after I have dinner, I'll be watching Christmas Vacation as I laugh and I remember the times I spent with my family and my dad as he laughed hysterically because he could really relate to Clark's struggles. I really miss you, Pops, and Merry Christmas from me. My second favorite movie to watch on Christmas is White Christmas from 1954, a musical starring Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye as the famed Broadway act Wallace and Davis. They try to save the inn located in Vermont, which is ran by their former commander in the Army, General Thomas F. Waverly. On their travels, they meet the Haynes sisters, an amazing dance and singing duo, and the group decides to team up and put on a televised show to promote the inn. This movie was super close to being my number one choice. I've watched it every Christmas Eve or Christmas Day for at least the last 5 or 6 years. And I really love the settings and the costumes throughout this movie. You do feel like you're watching a big Broadway play on film, and you can even see the construction of the sets, but I really love that. It gives this film a lot of charm. The singing and dancing throughout are absolutely top tier. Vera Ellen is one of the best dancers ever on film. And Rosemary Clooney was amazing as she sang her heart out and gave a wonderful performance in White Christmas. We get a lot of funny comedy sprinkled throughout as well as the two couples sort of try to deny their chemistry. It's really heartfelt and wonderfully constructed and gave us one of the absolute best Christmas songs ever made, White Christmas by Bing Crosby.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
My favorite movie to watch on Christmas is the holiday box office hit Home Alone from director Christopher Columbus, starring Macaulay Culkin, Catherine O'Hara, Daniel Stern, and Joe Pesci. It's Christmas time, and the McAllister family is preparing for a vacation in Paris, France. But the youngest in the family, Kevin, played wonderfully by Macaulay Culkin, gets into a scuffle with his older brother Buzz, and he's sent to bed on the 3rd floor of this huge house. Then the next morning, while the rest of the family rushes to make the airport on time, they completely forget about Kevin. The parents of the year are played by Catherine O'Hara and John Hurd, and they are so funny in this movie and perfectly cast. Kevin finds himself home alone and he ends up having the time of his life. Kevin then, though, discovers two burglars, Harry, played by Joe Pesci, and Marv, played by Daniel Stern, are casing the block.
Remember that kid we saw the other day? He lives here.
Well, if the kid's there, the parents gotta be.
He's home alone.
This is the perfect Christmas movie for me. It really has all the things I look for in holiday films, from relatable comedy, wonderful Christmas visuals and music. I also love the choir that sings later in the film. It's really beautiful. There's also family drama, character growth, and redemption. Plus, did I mention it's super funny? I remember first seeing Home Alone at a theater in Beaverton, Oregon. My grandma Mary took me, and it was a blast as the audience laughed, especially especially hard at the scene with the pizza guy as Kevin pulled the prank on him. And I remember I was laughing so hard, and I'd look over and my grandma was laughing even harder watching me laugh. The cast is perfect, and the direction is also impeccable in Home Alone. The finale is like a house of horrors for these robbers, and all the stunts are wonderful and funny, and it's really comedy gold and pays off beautifully. So, in making this list, I thought to myself, if there was one movie I couldn't live without on Christmas, what would it be? And the answer kept coming back: Home Alone. It's really a timeless movie, too. It doesn't feel like it's aged, it just keeps being new and fresh every time I watch it. So, this year, make sure to enjoy Christmas as much as Kevin McAllister loved being home alone. I want to thank you so much for joining me this holiday as we were able to take a journey through some of my favorite and hopefully some of your favorite Christmas movies. As I said earlier, this was a real tough list to make. I think more than any other genre of films that Christmas movies carry with them so much nostalgia for us from the time we spent watching them as kids with our family or the times we watch them today with family and friends. These movies really end up playing out in the background of my Christmas memories. If there was a movie I did miss that holds a special place in your heart, I'd love to hear about it. Please let me know in the comments down below. Also, it helps a ton when you like the video if you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming content. Lastly, please check my playlist. It's an easy way to find my reviews and my music. I wish you all a happy, safe holidays and Merry Christmas, and thanks for watching Robin James Reviews as I presented 12 movies to watch on Christmas.